Welcome to the Purdue Institute for Family Business video series. I'm Maria Marshall.
And I'm Renee Wyatt. Today we're going to talk about what is a family business.
So a family business can be defined a lot of ways. And today what this whole video is about is really thinking about what really makes a family business and how we would define a family business. So what is a family business? We're going to define it as to the degree to which families control the firm and how management influences the goals, preferences, and abilities and biases of the business. So a lot of times people think that it's all about control and ownership, but it's also how much a family actually influences what a business does, and actually even how you might identify it. So family versus non-family firms, it's really not based on size or whether it's private or public. A lot of times people think, well, if it's a public business, then it might not be a family business. Well, that's not true. You can have the Ford Motor Company, for example, still considered a family business. So a lot of Fortune 500 companies are considered family business. So it's not about whether it's private or public. It's not about size either. So a lot of times there's misconception that a family business has to be small, for example. It doesn't have to be small. It is defined in various ways. A lot of times rule of thumb might be that it's 20 to 25% ownership, that it's family owned and managed, and that there is a preference to have a transgenerational outlook, so transgenerational control.
Yeah, and from our family business survey, we actually found that 80% of owners want to pass on that business to the next generation.
That's right.
So it's very prevalent among family firms and family farms.
Mm-hmm. So the working definition for a family firm is going to be, for this series, a firm that is dominantly controlled by a family with the vision to potentially sustain family control across generations. So what are the different ways in which family influences their firm? Well, there are two different models. One is looking at power, experience, and control. Another that has more dimensions looks at the amount of family control, the complexity of the family control. So for example, is it multiple generations? The setup of the business activity, so a sole proprietorship versus an LLC or a corporation. For example, like a Ford Motor Company would have a lot complexity of control, different setups of business activities. And so you want to think about those things also in your business as well. The owner's philosophy and goals and the stage of control. So is it going from one generation to the next? Is it in the first generation, the second generation, third generation? So what stage of control is the business on?
So I'm going to expand a little bit on that amount of control. So we can talk about control in three different realms, really. We can talk about management, we can talk about ownership, and we can talk about governance. So if you think about management, it can be 100% family managed, or it can be 100% non-family managed. And each of these have, pros and cons to them. And you can think about ownership where only family is allowed to own. Or you could have a mix where if you're not family, you can own as well as if you're family. And also governance. So who runs the governance? Is it just family who is on that governing board? Or can you have non-family members or a mix? Each of these can have a spectrum.
That's right. So a lot of times there's a lot of family businesses that don't think about governance. They're thinking about management and ownership, and they don't really take a lot of time to think about the governance, which is the policies, the guides by which you're going to have actually management and ownership transfer from one generation to the next.
And the way we can think about the way these different circles interact is the three-circle family business model. So in this model, we have ownership, family, and the business. We can see how all of these can intersect in different ways. And if you can imagine placing different members of your family and your business in each of these circles. So say you have an owner, founder, who is active in the business. He or she could be right in the middle of those three circles. They could be in the ownership, the family, and the business circles. But say that owner has a son or daughter maybe who is not part of the business and they're not an owner, but they're still family, right? So they can be in that family part. So if you look at the handout associated with this video, we have a spot where you can fill out all the different members of your family and your family business and see where they fit in each of these circles, and then see also as time progresses how they can change and how those different circles can change over time.
So when you're thinking about the complexity of control, think about the number of family owners. So you've done the three circles model. You'll have had diagrammed basically how many family members are part of the family business. Is it 1, 2 to 5, 5 and more? I always say, and I'll probably say it more in the series, is the more people, more problems. So think about how many members are part of that control. The number of managers, is it one or several? A lot of times we'll have family businesses that are sole proprietorships, but they still might have many managers. The configuration, so it's an owner-manager, right? So the owner manages as well the business. Is it sibling partnerships, so two siblings together? Is it a cousin consortium? So a lot of times in the third generation, you will actually see a cousin consortium. It's cousins running the business. And again, the more people, more problems, the more the governance that you have to have for that type of business complexity. And then a family enterprise. That's where you have multiple generations. A lot of times, even the outlook of the family business has changed from a family business to a business owning family. So when you're thinking of a business setup and the business setup of the family business, it's a lot about the self-understanding of the family in business. Is it a family business or a business owning family? Another thing to think about is, does the business focus on a single business, or is it specialized? Or does it have a lot of diverse types of businesses? So in the previous slide where we saw you could have an owner-manager, they could be less specialized. There's low sense of diversification. But as the business gets bigger, and you have a cousin consortium, you'll have a lot more diversification. You might have a construction company that does commercial and residential. You might have a farm that has also real estate or trucking. So there's just more diversification as you get more complex. Also, the business family usually sees itself as an investor, right? So they're more diverse, have more enterprises, though they'll see themselves more as an investor versus a family business that sees itself around a core product or specialization. So the philosophy of control is also a specific thing to a family business. So we're thinking here about, is it the pursuit of economic or non-economic goals? So when we're thinking about non-economic goals, we're thinking about social emotional wealth. So transgenerational transfer is a non-economic goal, social part of social emotional wealth. So we tend to think of businesses as profit maximizing, but what makes family businesses unique is that sense of wanting this to be a family business. So a struggle between family versus business first philosophy is also part of this kind of philosophy of control of a family business. A family first approach prioritizes emotional attachment to the firm. So again, it's that social emotional wealth that's part of this philosophy of control. A business first approach really prioritizes innovation, change, growth, profit over these non-financial goals. Not that there can be it's just one or the other. There's usually a balance, but a family first approach will usually have more of an emotional attachment, and a business first approach will have more about profits and innovation, which probably goes along with that diversification and being a larger firm.
Mm-hmm. And there's no right answer there. I mean, if they're family first, that's fine. If they're business first, that's fine. They can be anywhere in that spectrum and still be a efficient family business.
That's right.
So to show that these non-economic goals sometimes become, forefronts, let's look at this. So this is from our 2012 farm and non-farm family business survey that we did at Purdue. And we asked people if they plan to transfer the family business to a family successor, even if it puts their own personal wealth and livelihood at increased risk. So if you see, over 35% of our businesses said yes, they were going to transfer this business, even if it put themselves at increased risk. So this graph and these responses really show how these family businesses are different than non-family businesses in the way they view themselves, how much they want that business to go forward, how they focus on those non-financial goals, and like Maria mentioned, they want that business to continue, and that's more important than financial goals.
Mm-hmm. So stages of control. So you've probably figured out that we're going through that model where we're talking about the different dimensions of family and a family business. So the stage of control has a lot to do with the time horizon, that extends not only in the past, but also into the future. It's that future vision of wanting to have family control. So a family business really have this long duration or long-term perspective about their family. And that even goes into the type of investments that they do make into a family business is kind of long. They're really patient with the capital that they might invest in a family business. And there's a high level of attachment to that family. And then when you're thinking about the owner's perspective, when it relates to the current generation and their desire to be able to be part of that family business and keep control, that's really part of the stages of control as well. Remember, it's a past and future vision of what that business is going to be like and wanting to have that next generation to have control and have competent control of that family business. So we asked business owners what they thought was going to happen with the distribution of their family business. So we asked for their expected outcome versus their desired outcome. So in the first set of bars, you see that 13% thought that it was going to be sold outside the family. Of those, 59% said yes, that is their desired outcome, and 32% said no, that was not the desired outcome, and 9% said they weren't sure. Then in the second set of bars, you'll see that 52% said it was going to be given or sold to the family. And 97 of those said that, yeah, that's their desired outcome, as you would expect for family businesses. And 2% said no. Maybe they weren't getting along so well at that time. And then in the third set of bars, you'll see that 35% said that the business was going to be liquidated. And of those, 56% said that, yes, that was their desired outcome. And 39% that said that, no, that's not their desired outcome. So considering that these are family business and farm family businesses, when you're thinking about liquidating your business, that can be really heart-wrenching. So to know that 39% really don't want that to happen is really thinking about who are the next successors and how are they going to pass the family business on to somebody else.
So now let's talk a little bit about family firm identity. So not every family firm that qualifies as a family business actually identifies as a family business. They might argue that their classification should depend not only on their objective governance criteria, but also on the degree that the controlling family projects a family business image to its internal and external stakeholders. So when we think about family businesses, there's not a really solid definition, right? So if the family firm identifies as a family business and wants to send that message out, they can. In other cases, they might not see themselves as a family business. Maybe they've gotten really big. They don't want to say that they're a family business and identify like that anymore, and that's okay too.
So the prevalence of family firms worldwide. Family firms are almost the prevalent form of family business, particularly when you are talking about small businesses. And sometimes that's why some family businesses don't want to identify as such, because there is this kind of intermingling or back and forth between a family business is small and there's some things that go along with maybe being thought of as a family business. But they are very prevalent worldwide. And about 60 to 80% of businesses are family businesses. And we don't tend to think about it in those ways.
So when we think about the prevalence of family businesses, these family businesses are particularly prominent among small and mid-sized firms.
And at least 2 of the top 10 Fortune 500 companies are family businesses. So you can think of Walmart, Berkshire Hathaway, Ford, Cargill, Koch Industries, Comcast, and Tyson are all family businesses. They don't all advertise that they're family business, but they are all family businesses. So family businesses are the backbone of agriculture. So here you'll see a slide where it has the role of the family farm. You can see that 97.6% of farms are family farms. So they're owned and operated by family members. And it just depends on sometimes the definition. So if you're thinking about who provides the most labor for a farm, that's 86.1% are family farms. So as you can see, family is really the backbone of agriculture. So we have some considerations for you to think about as you move forward. So how much control do you have over the business in terms of the family's influence on the business? Think about that, and how much do you want to maintain in the future? What stage of control are you in, and how complex is that control, and how complex do you expect that to happen to be as you get more generations part of the family business, as you have kids and your kids have kids? How many of them will be part of the business, and how do you want that control to happen? What are the family business's financial and non-financial goals, and can those be balanced? So can profit be balanced with transgenerational control? And where are you on the business first, family first continuum? What kind of balance have you struck?
And if you'd like a list of these considerations, we have a list on our handout related to this video of all of these questions along with the 3 circles model, so you can fill that out.
Thank you for joining us on this video. For more videos on family business and family business management, there'll be a video on management and ownership succession, the social structure of the family business,
and conflict management in the TKI.